Imagine a plant with almost 3 times the calcium of milk, more protein than kale, and enough vitamin A to cover your needs for days, yet the USDA calls it a weed. Get its identity wrong, and you could wind up dead. Get it right, and you will never miss spinach again. Here is the single rule for survival that every forager and every shopper needs to know. One plant can save your dinner, the other can send you to the emergency room. Lamb's quarters and black nightshade grow side by side in gardens, alleys, and fields across the country. At a glance, their leaves can look almost identical, broad, green, and pointed, sometimes with jagged edges. But there is a single detail that separates a wild superfood from a toxic gamble. The white, mealy, flour-like coating rubs off on your fingers and makes water bead and roll away. Lamb's quarters always wears this natural armor. Black nightshade never does. Its leaves stay smooth, sometimes glossy, with no hint of white dust, no matter how closely you look. This difference is not just botanical trivia. Black nightshade contains glycoalkaloids, compounds that can cause violent nausea, confusion, and in rare cases, death, especially in children who eat the berries. Poison control centers still log calls every year from accidental nightshade poisonings. The risk rises when foragers mistake a smooth green nightshade leaf for an edible green. That is why experienced foragers and chefs repeat one rule above all. If you do not see the white, powdery coating on the young leaves and undersides, do not eat it. The safest wild green in your backyard is also the easiest to recognize if you know what to look for. That single detail is your lifeline. Start with the leaf. Lamb's quarters has a distinct diamond or triangular shape. Imagine the outline of a goose's foot with blunt, uneven teeth along the edges. Think goose foot. Now flip the leaf over. The undersides and the youngest leaves are coated in a pale, powdery film that feels dry to the touch. This is not dirt or mildew. It is a natural wax that acts like waterproof armor. To test it, drip a bead of water onto the surface. If the water rolls off like rain on a waxed car, you are holding lamb's quarters. If the drop soaks in or sits flat, set it down and walk away. Check the height. Lamb's quarters can start as a tiny seedling, but left alone, it can reach 6 feet by the end of summer. The stems are upright, often with faint purple streaks, and feel angular instead of round. Early in the season, look for a coppery or magenta sheen on the youngest leaves. This is especially vivid in garden varieties like magenta spreen, prized for their color as well as their flavor. Finally, scan the plant for berries. Lamb's quarters never produces berries, only tight clusters of tiny greenish flowers, and later, dry black seeds hidden in papery husks. If you spot star-shaped white flowers or shiny green or black berries, you are not dealing with lamb's quarters. Run through this checklist every time you harvest. Goosefoot leaf, white dust, water beads, no berries. It is a simple routine, but it is the difference between a wild superfood and a dangerous mistake. Milk is the gold standard for calcium. At least that's what most people think. But in a head-to-head lab test, 100 grams of raw lamb's quarters packs 309 milligrams of calcium. That is nearly 3 times the calcium in an equal serving of milk, which usually lands between 113 and 125 milligrams. For anyone counting on leafy greens for protein, the numbers flip the script. 1 cooked cup of lamb's quarters provides 4.2 grams of protein, while kale provides just 2.5 grams per cooked cup. This is not just a high-protein weed, it is a complete protein with all the essential amino acids, just like quinoa. The vitamin A content is off the charts. 11,600 international units per 100 grams, which covers 73% of your daily needs. That is more vitamin A than kale, more than spinach, and more than most fortified foods. Vitamin C follows suit. 100 grams delivers 96% of the daily value. Manganese and riboflavin both clock in at around 37% of daily requirements per serving. Iron, magnesium, and zinc are all present in higher amounts than you will find in spinach or cabbage. A nutritionist reviewing these numbers calls it one of the most nutrient-dense greens in the world. On paper, lamb's quarters outclasses most of the so-called superfoods sold in grocery stores. The only thing holding it back is not nutrition, it is how and where you eat it. In the kitchen, a forager chef stands over a pile of fresh lamb's quarters, ready to turn wild greens into a safe, nutrient-packed meal. The first step isn't seasoning or sautéing, it is understanding what is inside the leaves. Like spinach, lamb's quarters naturally contain oxalic acid. In small raw amounts, this is harmless for most people, but eating large handfuls uncooked can irritate the stomach, or for those prone to kidney stones, tip the balance toward trouble. Cooking changes the equation. When the greens are blanched or boiled in plenty of water, much of the soluble oxalic acid leaches out into the cooking water, which is then poured away. This single step makes the calcium in lamb's quarters more available for the body to absorb. Steaming or quick sautéing also helps, though not as much as boiling, and preserves more vitamins. For healthy adults, a cup or two of cooked lamb's quarters is a safe, mineral-rich side, a stand-in for spinach or kale. Raw, stick to small handfuls, scattered into salads or sandwiches. Seeds need their own preparation. These tiny black grains are coated in saponins, bitter compounds that can cause stomach upset if eaten unwashed. The fix is simple. Rinse the seeds under running water, swirling and rubbing until the water runs clear and the foam disappears. Some cooks soak the seeds overnight, changing the water once or twice before boiling them into porridge or mixing them into dough. This process, borrowed from quinoa preparation, removes most of the bitterness and potential gut irritants. The nutritionist's advice is clear. Treat lamb's quarters like any high oxalate green. Cook for daily eating, rinse seeds thoroughly, and keep raw portions small. With these steps, the only thing left to worry about is what recipe to try next. Long before spinach took over European kitchens, lamb's quarters was a staple green across continents. Archaeologists have uncovered its seeds in Iron Age storage pits, Viking Age settlements, and Roman-era grain stores, evidence that this so-called weed was a valued food, not just a wild hanger-on. In Denmark, the story gets even more personal. Gut contents from ancient bog bodies, preserved for thousands of years, reveal a mix of barley, wild seeds, and unmistakably lamb's quarters. These were not just famine foods, they were woven into daily bread and porridge, part of the regular diet. An ethnobotanist points to the English name, lamb's quarters, tracing it to the Lammas festival, a midsummer harvest feast where new wheat and wild greens were eaten together. Across the Atlantic, indigenous communities in North America cultivated a related species, Chenopodium berlandieri, as early as 3,500 years ago, well before corn arrived. The archaeological record is clear. For most of human history, lamb's quarters was food, not a nuisance. In the world of industrial agriculture, lamb's quarters is not a superfood. It is public enemy number 1. The USDA lists it as a principal weed and a major agricultural pest, especially for corn and soybean farmers. Weed scientists have measured the damage down to the row. Just one lamb's quarters plant, every 1.5 feet, can cut corn yields by 13%. At 5 plants per square meter, corn losses hit 35% and soybeans 38%. Each plant scatters up to 100,000 seeds, and those seeds can sit in the soil for over 40 years, waiting for their moment. No harvester is built for this plant. Unlike spinach, lamb's quarters grows wild at unpredictable heights, with leaves too delicate for machine blades, and seeds too small for standard combines. Farmers see a threat to their bottom line. Yet in markets from Delhi to Johannesburg, chefs and home cooks treat lamb's quarters as a prized green. While American fields are sprayed to keep it out, market stalls in India pile it high as bathua, sold by the kilo to families who know its value. The trade-off is clear. Industrial efficiency won, but nutrition was lost. While most of the world embraces this plant as food, American fields still treat it as an enemy. As nutrition gaps widen and food costs rise, the distinction between weed and resource grows thinner. Sometimes what we discard is exactly what we need. What will we choose next season? If you're ready to reclaim what your ancestors knew, make sure you subscribe for more. We're just getting started.